It's the ultimate social nightmare. You are currently staring into the eyes of someone you've encountered on at least three separate occasions, and your brain has just hit a total dead end. You know their face. You might even remember they have a rescue dog with a ridiculous name like Barnaby, or that they're currently struggling through a kitchen renovation. But their name? It's gone. It isn't even on the tip of your tongue. It has been scrubbed from the hard drive, cleanly deleted as if it were never filed in the first place. And now, you're entering those 12 seconds of pure improvised theater. You start subtly angling your body, nodding at everything they say, and desperately hoping a third person walks by to provide a verbal life raft. You are performing the great pretend, all while a quiet wave of shame washes over you. We've all been there. But the people who do this most frequently, the chronic name forgetters, are not careless. They aren't rude. And they are almost certainly not as unintelligent as they've been led to believe. There is a very specific mechanical glitch happening in the human brain, and once you understand the architecture of this failure, you'll realize that forgetting a name might actually be a sign that your brain is functioning at a much higher level than you think. To understand why your brain deletes names, you have to understand what a name actually is to a human mind. It is a pointer. In computing, a pointer is a small piece of data that tells the system where the real information is stored. The problem is that our brains are not cold hard drives. We are meaning machines. We don't store data in neat little rows. We store it in webs of association, emotion, and sensory detail. In 1987, researchers McWeeny and Ellis stumbled onto a glitch that explains this perfectly: the Baker-Baker paradox. They showed two groups of people the same photo of a man. They told Group A, "This man's surname is Baker." They told Group B, "This man is a baker by profession." Days later, the results were staggering. The people who learned the occupation remembered it far more easily than the people who learned it as a name. Same word, same syllables, but completely different retention. Why? Because the word baker as a job is a semantic goldmine. It activates a 4D sensory experience. You can smell the yeast. You can see the flour-dusted apron. You can feel the warmth of the oven. It has hooks that latch onto everything you already know about the world. But Mr. Baker? That's a dead end. It's a flat, arbitrary sound. It has no texture, no history, and no emotional weight. Unless you have a deep personal connection to the name, your brain views it as low-value data and tosses it out of the moving car to save on fuel. But there's a second layer to this glitch, and it's a bit more personal. It's called attentional blink, and it happens during the social hijack. Think about what your brain is doing during the first 10 seconds of meeting someone new. You aren't just standing there, you are performing. You're monitoring your posture, gauging their micro-expressions, trying to remember if you've met them before, and calculating where you stand socially. You are, quite literally, suffering from cognitive congestion. Psychologist Malcolm Brenner called this the next-in-line effect. When we are in a high-stakes introduction, our brain effectively stops recording the external environment so it can prepare its own performance. While they are saying, "Hi, I'm Julian," your internal monologue is screaming, "Don't forget to shake firmly, smile, wait, did I just interrupt them?" The name enters your short-term memory, the prefrontal cortex, and immediately gets trampled by your own internal rehearsal. You didn't forget the name. You never actually encoded it. You were too busy being you to let them in. It's like trying to download a file while your computer is running 20 heavy programs in the background. The smallest file, the name, is the first thing the system drops to keep from crashing. If this happens to you constantly, it's time to stop the shame spiral. Because here is the secret about name forgetters. They are often the most present people in the room. There is a fundamental difference between the label and the texture of a human being. Most people, the ones who never forget a name, are great at filing labels. They have a mental spreadsheet. But the deep thinkers, the creatives, and the highly empathetic, their brains skip the label entirely and go straight for the source code. They aren't recording what you're called, they're recording who you are. They remember the specific crackling energy of the conversation, They remember the way your eyes crinkled when you spoke about your passion project. They are cataloging the essence of the interaction, while the superficial label simply evaporates. Think of it this way. Your memory is a curated gallery, not a warehouse. A warehouse keeps everything: the boxes, the packing peanuts, the barcode labels. A gallery only keeps the art. If you forget a name but remember the conversation, you haven't failed. You've just prioritized the art over the label. Does it sting when someone forgets your name? Of course. It lands like a small, pointed message. You didn't matter enough to stick. That's how the brain hears it, even if it's factually wrong. But the irony is that the person who forgot your name was often the one most impacted by your presence. They were so busy experiencing you, so deep in the subtext and the soul of the encounter, that they forgot to tag the file. None of this means you shouldn't try to get better. We live in a world where names matter, and using them is a sign of respect. You can build bridges manually. Repeat the name back immediately. Connect it to a visual. If you meet a rose, picture her standing in a garden. You're essentially giving a rootless name the hooks it needs to survive. But the belief that forgetting names makes you an uncaring person, that part is a lie. You are not absent or dismissive. You are someone whose brain refuses to store empty data. You are a meaning machine in a world of labels. The name was always the least interesting thing about them anyway. You're looking for the story, and the story is the only thing that actually sticks. If you're interested in exploring the psychology of independent thinking further, I've put together a collection of books that dive deeper into these mental glitches. You can find the link in the description. And if this explanation made you feel a little less guilty today, consider subscribing and hitting that bell. Let's keep figuring out how these brains of ours actually work.